good morning, everybody. It's Friday. How are we doing? This is Sam on United People's TV. How are we all doing today? We've got Norwich tomorrow at 5:30. I'm going to have my predicted 11 out later on today. But this morning we are speaking about Ralf Rangnick's midfield master plan. Well, according to ESPN, we're going to be running through reports about key midfielders, Jude Bellingham, Amadou, Haidara, and Kalvyn Phillips, that Ralf Rangnick identified to the club before he even became boss. We're going to be speaking and running through those reports, speaking about Manchester United's need for a midfielder. I did my video yesterday on Frankie de Jong. Took a look at the reports that we're developing, and I ran through them for you, as I always do in my full story looks at our key targets that we are linked with. And this morning, we're going to run through Jude Bellingham. We're going to take a look at his stats. Is he the right sort of midfielder for Manchester United? The same with Amadou Haidara, the same with Kalvyn Phillips. I'm going to take a look at some key stats about Manchester United's defensive issues, Manchester United's defensive intensities. We're going to be speaking about that. We're going to be hearing from Scott McTominay about Ralf Rangnick and what sort of coach he is. We're going to be taking a look at some important info on Chris Armas and what sort of coach we bring into Manchester United. It's going to be a busy show, and we're announcing the winner of not one, but two Ronaldo shirts. I literally am Santa. I am Santa. And as I say, every time I bring them on screen, the Glazers are getting no money, all right? They're not from the Megastore. Simple as that. Let me see how... Valerie, you're watching, as you always are, this morning on Facebook. Good morning to you. Arfan, good morning to you as well. Peter, good morning there. We've got Billy watching from Louisiana. Wicked. We've got Stu watching, as always. And where is he? I saw his name up there. Where's Gungshi? I don't know where he is. Oh, he's gone up too far. Anyway, Gungshi, I can see you watching. Takeoff. Good morning. There's loads of regulars, as always. Seems like it's been a bit of a, I don't know. It's been it's a quiet week's the wrong word. It's been a bit chaotic. But, yeah, I don't think that many people were interested in the game against Young Boys. It's weird how you can see the dips and the peaks and the troughs. Chris Church, good morning to you. Isaac watching from Nigeria. Gadisi watching from South Africa. Hey, look, today we're going to bring the interactive map back up. So throughout the show, you let me know where you're watching from. Give me the town and the country, and I'll try and get you on the map. But that'll happen later in the show, as will me announcing the two winners of those Ronaldo shirts. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning those, you know the drill by now. If you're not a member already, just become a member. Hit that join button, support the channel, get involved, come closer into the middle of the community, join the private WhatsApp group as well, and you get entered into a weekly draw to win a Ronaldo shirt. Don't say I don't treat you well. Hey, Ian, cheers, buddy. Happy Friday to you as well, my friend. Hey, look, we've got Norwich tomorrow. There are some positive vibes at Manchester United for sure. Even there was such trust in Ralf Rangnick after the game against Crystal Palace that even when we made 11 changes, 11, whole team got changed against Young Boys against Young Boys, we still trusted him. And, mate, our first team got beaten by Young Boys away. And our entire second string team got a 1-1 draw. Good result in the context of everything. But we are here to talk about midfield transfers. We're here to talk about January. We're here to talk about what Ralf Rangnick has identified as key weaknesses inside this squad. Let's dive straight into the news. As I said, I always bring you the news. We run through the facts. We run through the figures, the information. I don't just spout my opinion. It's not just about my opinion. Although, as I said yesterday, I hate everyone else's opinions. And that was a joke. All right, that was just me reacting to a comment. Let's go down here. Let's take a look at the reports. Rangnick's Manchester United master plan. Lovely word, master plan. Good album too. Bellingham, Haidara, Phillips are key targets. Let's see and read through this report together, and let's see what it is saying. Rangnick talks up Bellingham, Haidara, and Phillips. Ralf Rangnick identified Manchester United's midfield as an area of weakness in his interview with club bosses and suggested players of interest before being offered the job as an interim manager. Sources have told ESPN. So we all know that the midfield is the biggest weak point of Manchester United. It has been the biggest weak point of Manchester United for some time. The only midfielder we've really signed is Donny van der Beek, and he hasn't even played. We haven't signed proper midfielders for a long, long time. And we know we need one. We know we need probably two, realistically. Certainly if Paul Pogba is to leave. A comment here coming from Aaron. You've sent in a super chat, mate, but you didn't send in a comment, so I can't read it out for you. And Gungshi, one of the regs, watching from Taiwan, as always. Nice cat, by the way. I've never commented on your cat. I like cats. Everyone likes cats. Cats and dogs. I like cats and dogs. I've got no favourites. Hi, Sam. You don't treat us well. You treat us very well. Happy Friday, everyone. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't, Gungshi. But I'm looking forward to having the Christmas drinks whenever that happens. Let's have a look. What's going? You're sad. No, Victor, there's nothing to do with me. That if you're having issues, my friend, that is to do with you. Nothing to do with me on my sound. Thank you very much. Let's go down here. As I said, we all know that midfield was a big, big issue, man. It has been an issue. And we've looked at targets. I spoke about Frankie de Jong yesterday. We've already had a conversation about, what's his name? Amadou Haidara. We've had conversations about so many other players before. Ruben Neves. I can't remember all the other midfielders we were linked with. I must have like blanked it from my mind. Let's have a look down here. Rangnick impressed during discussions with football director John Murtough, blah, 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 blah. Sources have told ESPN he explained why the club should look to invest in midfield and suggested scouts take a closer look at Leipzig's Amadou Haidara, also identifying Dortmund's Jude Bellingham and Leeds' Kalvyn Phillips. 1 second there. Now we're all good. Yeah, so in my opinion, out of those three, there's one target I would love. There's one target I would probably consider a dream, and that's Jude Bellingham. And we're going to take a look at the stats in a minute, right? We're going to take a look at the stats because this is what I did in my video yesterday on Frankie de Jong. I took a look at de Jong and I compared him to Haidara and said, okay, where are the strengths and the weaknesses of these two midfielders, right? Key question I want to ask you this morning, right? We all know we need to sign a midfielder. But what do you think are the most important characteristics of that midfielder? Do you think that midfielder needs to be an absolute pressing machine and somebody who can work inside this system under Ralf Rangnick and be like Fred? Do we need another version of Fred? Or do you think this midfielder who could come in is somebody who needs to be first and foremost progressive with the ball, someone who can carry the ball forward, basically a playmaker from deep? What do you think is the single most important characteristic of the midfielder that we could sign? Let me know in the comments below, because if you're looking at Bellingham, Haidara and Phillips, and we'll do that right now, they all have different characteristics, man. They all have different characteristics. So I think that's really important to sort of have that conversation. I love Phillips, says Maxwell, but English players have premium prices. They always do. We call it the English tax. The English tax. Oh, actually, look, Russian blue. Lovely. Lovely cat. Hey? Everyone loves cats. Well, everyone who has cats loves cats. Everyone who doesn't have cats says, oh, I don't like cats. I like cats. Cats are basically assholes, but in a good way. They're sort of like, they don't need, dogs are so reliant. Geez, we're getting distracted here, but dogs are so reliant on human beings. Cats can just go out there, have a dinner, have another dinner somewhere else, go and flirt with someone, say, come back, do what they want. Anyway, enough about cats and dogs. Let's talk here about Jude Bellingham. And let me go down to the comments here and see what you think about this midfielder, right? Let's have a look. Edward, you're saying defense first and foremost. Bashar, you're saying has to be able to pass the ball forward and want vision. We need a fitter Pogba, says Gary Hodgkinson. One that does all three, says Lee, is Jude Bellingham. And let's have a quick look at Jude Bellingham's stats, eh? So what I'm going to take a look, as I said, I'm going to take a look at Jude Bellingham, going to take a look at Amadou Haidara, I'm going to take a look at Kalvyn Phillips. The three midfielders that ESPN are saying that Ralf Rangnick has identified to Manchester United scouts to look at a bit more. So we go down here and we take a look. And these are the three sort of key areas. This one here is all about goal contributions, really. This one here is all about passes and progressive passing. And this one at the bottom is all about how good are they defensively, really, in terms of their tackles, their pressures, what are they doing? So we look at the top and we look at what Jude Bellingham is very, very good at. And that's goal contributions in terms of his non-penalty goals, his shots per game, his assists, his expected assists, his shot creating actions. He's literally in the top 5% in Europe's top 5 leagues for actual assists, direct assists. Top 5% for expected assists. This guy's an assist king, which means he is always on the edge of the box. He's right there in the right place at the right time. If you're looking at how involved he is in the games, he's not anywhere near as, I suppose, as involved as you would expect him to be. But look at these. What's that? Progressive passes received. Okay, completed passes that move the ball towards the opponent's goal at least 10 yards from its furthest point. That's quite impressive. Look, top 10%. So he's very good at that. He's not someone who's going to go in flying in the tackles, flying in the interceptions, but he's someone who can play well in the pressing game. He can force mistakes from the opposition, and he's good with his blocks. But yeah, up the top there, this is where Jude Bellingham shines. Jude Bellingham shines with his actual goal contributions, direct goal contributions. Good morning from Senegal. Good morning to you as well. Bellingham would cost by far and away, out of all these three targets we're going to talk about this morning, way more. And I did for a video, Sam, all the midfield players available for Rangnick, whether free or their market price. Well, that'll be a very, very long video. Maybe I will do that. But as always, if you do have video ideas, people, send them to me on Twitter. My DMs are always open. So if you have any ideas, fire them across and we can have a discussion. But Jude Bellingham, as I said, out of those three names, it will be an easy choice. We tried to sign Jude Bellingham. We did everything to try and sign Jude Bellingham before he went to Dortmund. When he was it Birmingham he was leaving? I think it was Birmingham. We brought him to Carrington. We got Fergie in. We got his family in. We swooned him. We did everything we possibly could to bring Bellingham to the club. Obviously, he chose Dortmund, and obviously he chose the right thing, because look at what's happened to his career since. Jude Bellingham did not make a mistake in choosing Borussia Dortmund. United now are in a more stable position, but if he had come to United and been part of the mess, he would be nowhere near as good as he is right now. So that's Jude Bellingham. So look, if we see here, and as I said, go down in stats, his assists are ridiculous in terms of how he contributes directly to goals. He's good here with the progressive passes and his touches and the attacking penalty area. As I said, he's a very, very attacking central midfielder, more than somebody who focuses on defence, if you want to call it that. He'd certainly be the most expensive as well. But how does he compare then to someone like Amadou Haidara, who is a very different type of midfielder? We go down here and let's have a look at his. Look, I mean, it's not as if he's still towards the top 10 to 15%. Definitely he contributes plenty more. He's not really, look, he's got 0 assists. But in terms of the actual expected, non-penalty expected goals and assists, that means people are missing the chances that he's creating, I believe, really. But look, he's decent there. And he's decent here as well. And this is versus midfielders. And the thing is, like, if you look at Amadou Haidara's stats, and you, instead of comparing them to midfielders, you compare them to like attacking midfielders. Or actually, no, you don't want that, do you? You want it just against midfielders. He's a bit of an all-rounder, kind of. If you look at it versus attacking midfielders and wingers, look how much better he is in these areas down here. Maybe that's just a bit unfair. That's because he's doing it against wingers. Of course, he's going to be in the top 10%. But progressively passing, progressive carrying, touches in the attacking penalty area, he does have similarities there. He does have similarities to Jude Bellingham. And then we look at someone like Kalvyn Phillips, right? Who, I haven't looked at these stats, but I'm going to presume is somebody who's a little bit different, right? Let's find out. Let's go down. Well, there you go. Straight away. We look at these top two. This is what I expected. I expected the top two to be quite weak and the bottom one to be better. And here we go. That's exactly what it is. Kalvyn Phillips is not somebody who's going to come into Manchester United and really progressively take us forward. Not necessarily as a football club, but I mean physically on the pitch. Look, his expected goals, expected assists, his shot creating actions, passes he's attempting, progressive passing, progressive carries, touches in the opponent's box. Phillips is nowhere near good enough there, but look down here. This is where he shines. Top 3% for pressures, top 20% for tackles, top 20 for interceptions, top 10 for blocks and clearances. Kalvyn Phillips is a very, very good central midfielder when it comes to breaking up the opposition. Kalvyn Phillips is not a very good midfielder when it comes to bringing that ball forward. So yeah, look at that. If you were to compare that Kalvyn Phillips, and let's just pull this up here and let's do that. That's Jude Bellingham. This is Kalvyn Phillips. Look, compare those two there. Off the charts by comparison. It's not even comparable how much better Jude Bellingham is going forward than someone like Kalvyn Phillips. And someone like Amadou Haidara, as I said, he's a bit of a mixture. He's a bit of a mixture. This is what scouting's all about, right? It's somebody's job at Manchester United to take all these potential options and go, you know what? This is the player that is the most suited to Manchester United. Having watched both players play 10, 15, 20 games, we've made a calculated decision that this player, whether that's Bellingham, whether that's Haidara, whether that's Phillips, or whether that's someone else, that's their job. I've got a bit of a skewed opinion because I've watched far more of Jude Bellingham than I have of Amadou Haidara and Kalvyn Phillips. Therefore, my opinion is, as I said, skewed. My opinion's not based on a fair share of evidence. And that's what scouts do, right? We as fans, we can all have our opinions on players. We can say, yeah, man, should be Bellingham, should be Haidara, should be Phillips, should be Neves, should be someone else. But it's probably because we've watched more of one player than we have of another. And therefore, we're a little bit biased. But the scouts have to do their jobs properly. And if he's identified those three, right, you let me know in the comments now, right? You type your choice in. Which do you think out of those three there? Which one would you say is the most suited to what Manchester United needs? Is it Bellingham? Is it Haidara? Or is it Phillips? Type it in the comments now. Because if they are three of the targets that Rangnick has identified to the club that we should be scouting before he's even got the job, then he clearly knows what he wants. Comment here from Jonathan saying, as well as all those stats, you have to envisage how they will fit the style of play and existing players. Will they complement each other? So we need more defensive or more creation. Exactly that as well, Jonathan. It's all about how you piece the puzzle together. And if Paul Pogba's a player who is now missing from this puzzle, then are we looking at replacing Paul Pogba, or is it got nothing to do with him? Let me go down here and see what you think about this. It's an interesting conversation and debate, this one. Peter, you think it's Haidara, and so does Malps, Tillicum, Santa. No, I'm Santa. You're not Santa. Young, Haidara. But on the other hand, you got Bashar, you got Jesper, you got Paula, Sanjay. Plenty. I'll tell you what, it's a big split between Bellingham and Haidara. And if we're looking at that, right, let's get them both. Let's get them both, man. Why not? Why couldn't Manchester United, in my opinion, I think I've said this before. I've said it again. I will say it again. I'm done with Paul Pogba. I know Paul Pogba. Look, okay, right. I'm going to bring these stats up now because I did have some stats I wanted to talk about Paul Pogba. Look, Paul Pogba is a great footballer, right? Simple as that. Who moves the ball forward for each Premier League team? Paul Pogba. Look at that. He's third on that list. He's a player who Manchester United rely on the most. So if you're looking at this list, there's 20 players, one from each team. Which player does each club rely on more to move the ball forward? And the higher up they are in the chart, the more reliant they are on that player. Therefore, United, so John Joe Shelby, Newcastle were heavily reliant on John Joe Shelby to bring the ball forward. Tillemans, Leicester are heavily reliant on him. United, we're heavily reliant on Paul Pogba. So technically, I mean, we all know he's great, but I'm done with it, ladies and gents. I'm done with the circus. I'm done with Manchester United as a football club, as a circus, and I'm done with Paul Pogba and the circus. I know he is a great player, but I'm just done with it. I've made my peace with it. Let's just move on, all right? And we can talk about, we can go down the pub and be like, wasn't it a shame that it didn't work out, Paul Pogba? That's fine. Simple as that, right? I wish it could have worked out. I wish it did work out, but I can't be asked to go backwards and to try it again, because we tried again and again and again and again. And there's been like 3 or 4 times where he's gone and he's gone. I'm done. Personally, I'm done with it. So I would like to see Paul Pogba moved on. Therefore, if we can bring in Haidara and Bellingham, woohoo! I mean, Bellingham would basically be the same. Bellingham would be, you're probably looking at 100 million. So the realistic situation is that we don't sign Bellingham, because Dortmund are going to want a phenomenal amount of money for him. And also Dortmund don't want to sell Bellingham right now. It's not, Haaland is going to be leaving in the summer. Therefore, Bellingham won't leave probably until the year after, right? That's probably what it is. And let me go down and read a few of your comments out here about Paul Pogba. Pogba is overrated and won't get into the top 3 teams, says Robert. Get rid of some. Look, we won't get any money back for him. He's leaving on a free. We're going to lose Paul Pogba free twice. That's mad. That's wild. Why buy expensive players? Stop thinking about Bellingham and De Jong if you can buy young talents like Bayern does. We need an elite scouting system. Yes and no. Yeah, I completely agree. Our scouting has to be better so that we can identify players and then bring them to United and make them stars, of course. But when we identified Bellingham before he went to Dortmund, but we couldn't get him. So it's not as if all of a sudden Bellingham is somebody who's on the radar because of what he did at Dortmund. He was on the radar before he went to Dortmund. It's just that we couldn't convince him. So that doesn't make me want to not go and sign him, in my opinion. And I've watched enough of him to go, yeah, that guy's that guy's years ahead of him, like anybody else really inside that. Pogba will thrive under Ralf, says Takeoff. And Pogba is a brilliant player, but it didn't work out for United. Let's move on. Look, it could work out with Paul Pogba at Manchester United under Ralf Rangnick. Of course it could. I can't rule that out. I've already taken a look at all the pressures that Paul Pogba puts on players and how he plays. And of course, he could thrive in this Rangnick system, but I can't be asked. I am done. Just my own personal opinion as a United fan. This isn't an agenda against Pogba. This isn't anything at all. I've just washed my hands of it. I can't be asked to go back to the start of the cycle, do that, and say, come on, man, show me what you can do. I just can't be asked anymore. And maybe I will. And of course I will. If Paul Pogba signs a new contract, I'll get right behind him as a fan. And I'll say, look, I won't get right behind him. I'll support him as a fan. And I'll hope that he can shine. But right now, I can't be in. I can't. And this is bullshit. This is bullshit. Anti-Paul Pogba. People. Don't try and force agendas where agendas do not exist. I have given Paul Pogba so much of my support, so much of my time, and I've stood in front and said, look, stop overly criticizing, stop blah 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 blah. But I can't be fucking asked anymore. All right, it's just I'm bored of it. I'm tired, Robbie. And look, as I said, if Paul Pogba signs a new contract, hell yeah, man, I'll support him. The guy is one of the greatest midfielders that exists right now. I just can't be asked with our club and the circus around it anymore. Simple as that. All right. So if he was to move on, which I think he will move on, and I also don't ever. This is a big reason why I fell out with Wayne Rooney. I fell out with Wayne Rooney. He didn't fucking know who I am. It's a big reason why I did hold an agenda against Wayne Rooney for so long, because he was the only player I remember bending Fergie. Fergie always maintained that no player had more power than the club, right? That was one of Fergie's mantras. And the only player that ever changed that was Wayne Rooney. That's when Fergie came out and sort of did that U-turn. And then it was just, I remember watching that. Remember that press conference that Fergie did, sort of confirming that Rooney wanted to leave and X, Y, Z. And I was like, I firmly stood in Fergie's corner and supported him in that situation. And I've realised now, as the years have gone on, that I was way too harsh on Wayne Rooney. That he was correct to question the club's ambition, but at that time, yeah, I just couldn't be asked. And with Paul Pogba, I've managed to overlook the circus that surrounds him. But man, if your agent is Mino Raiola, you poison part of your relationship with the fan base, because you've got an agent there who is a fantastic agent for the player, but not for the club. And I can't be asked for the circus anymore, man. There's no agenda at all. And I wish Paul Pogba was that Paul Pogba that we saw for 3 months. That was the best I remember seeing of Paul Pogba. I remember going to Fulham away, and that was when he scored that banger with his left foot. I think he got the assist from Martial as well. Paul Pogba was great in those 3 months. That's the best Paul Pogba was for United. I think he was probably the informed player in Europe. So he showed that he could do it at Manchester United. It's just it's coming patches, eh? It's been patches the whole way through. And in the same way that Harry Maguire deserves more criticism than the average centre-back at Manchester United, because he's the captain. He is the captain, and the captain should be under more scrutiny. Paul Pogba deserves a closer inspection and scrutiny, because the levels that he's capable of. You can't have that same sort of expectations of Fred or McTominay, because they're bang average footballers by comparison. And that's why the levels of scrutiny on Paul Pogba are more intense, because we've seen that. We've seen what he's capable of. Eh? Ian, you're saying that Paul Pogba will not fit Rangnick's system. Bye, Paul. You will not be missed. I mean, he will be missed. Of course he will be missed. But I think we're all... Look, some of you clearly will disagree with this, right? Of course. Some of you will still be like, Sam, and this is something I always maintain, if you're going to try and win the Champions League and the Premier League, you don't let your best players go. Therefore, Paul Pogba's part of it. But I don't know. But Tim, it's what I mean. Like 7 assists in 4 games and a struggling United side. That first game against Leicester, 4 assists when he played in the right position as sort of like the left of a midfield 3. It's great. And I've got no doubts that if Paul Pogba came back in and had... But he won't sign that contract. He won't sign the contract. And therefore, he's holding the club to ransom. And I don't like players who do that. Whether your name's Wayne Rooney, whether your name's Paul Pogba, whether your name's anything else, I don't like players who do that. And Paul Pogba's been doing it for a long time with his contract. And I just cannot be asked anymore. Simple as that. I'm moving on from Paul Pogba. But yeah, looking back at what we were speaking about there, Jude Bellingham, Amadou, Haidara, Kalvyn, Phillips, there's plenty of quality there. Jude Bellingham would clearly be an outstanding signing, but would cost so much money that maybe we just can't do it this summer. Certainly not this winter. I don't think this summer either. Amadou, Haidara, somebody who's far more attainable, and clearly somebody who would bring in a lot to Manchester United midfield. And Kalvyn Phillips, not for me. Not for me. I think he's good at what he does at breaking up play, but we need a midfielder who actually has a real ability to bring the ball forward. I think we saw it with England. Kalvyn Phillips was great in that breakup role alongside Declan Rice. He was a bit better, a bit more progressive going forward, to be fair, for England than he was for Leeds, but it's just not me. It's just not me. Let me go down here in the comments and see what you're saying. No to Jude Bellingham, says Sumia. Well, I imagine you'll probably be quite alone in that. Big up. What about Kessie? Obviously, Frank Kessie from AC Milan. I'm going to be doing that as it comes up towards. I think what I'm planning to do is the week before Christmas. There's a week without games. There's 9 days. I think 18th to the 27th. That is 9 days. Look at that maths on the spot. There's 9 days with no games. So I'm going to do a couple of videos in that week with a nod towards the January transfer window. Who could we sign? What is the realistic plan? What's the realistic options? X, Y, Z. I'll run through a few of that. De Gea held us a ransom. He did hold us a ransom, Tommy. And again, that's probably part of the reason why I was in support of Dean Henderson. But then he signed that new contract, and we were like, does he deserve that new contract? And he showed it this year. He's absolutely showed it this year. Go down here in the comments what you're saying. Ian, he said he can't tackle and he creates problems in defence. Paul Pogba's defensive abilities, it's not the strongest part of his game. We all know that. That's not a slight against him. In the same way that, I don't know, Kalvyn Phillips is progressive passing isn't part of his game. It doesn't make him a crap midfielder. It's just not the natural part of his game. Let's go here, right? Let's move on because I'm just going to get caught in arguments and debates. I found this is quite an interesting one, right? If we were to move on from the midfield and we were to talk about the defense, actually no, sod that. It's Christmas, Sam. We need to announce some winners. Let's move on to something a little bit more cheery. Come on, people. 2 Ronaldo shirts. Don't say I don't treat you well. Seriously. So, John Ewan last week, you were the winner on YouTube, but you haven't got in touch, my friend. And if you ever do get in touch, I probably will just give it to you. But you've not got in touch. I apologize because being a member on YouTube doesn't give me the ability to contact you directly. So I can't let you know you've won. It's a bit stupid, but you can blame YouTube for that, not me. But look, let's go for the 2 winners this week. And it is chosen by random. Literally random. You know, there's no agenda here apart from the fact, you know, I choose the winners. I don't. Right, drum roll. I need to get a drum roll on this. All right, who we got? Anthony Farrow. It looks like you've got a boy who has already got a Ronaldo shirt, so you've got a little matching one. Round of applause. Where is it? There it is. Round of applause for Anthony, who's the winner from YouTube today. Big up to you, my friend. Anthony, you're going to have to get in contact with me. I've seen you this week at some point, so if you do want to claim that prize, you've got to contact me on Twitter, all right? And I'll get the shirt sent out to you this week. Big up to you, my sir. And the winner from Facebook. Oh, yeah. We've got a build-up here. Oh, that's a bit of a horror bit. Stephen Matthews. Yeah, where is it? Where's the round of applause? Round of applause. Round of applause here. Stephen Matthews, my friend. Congratulations. Congratulations, sir. Oh, look. Anthony's here in the comment. There you go. Well, Anthony, congratulations to you, my friend. And Stephen, congratulations to you as well. If you're not watching on Facebook, don't worry. I can drop you a message. But big up to both of you. Congratulations. That's 2 more Ronaldo shirts that are given away. I don't know how many shirts we're giving away now, but there's still more to come. And trust me, there are more giveaways that aren't just Ronaldo shirts coming in the next 15 days. It is going to turn into a bit of a free-for-all. And I'm looking forward to it. So make sure you join as a member if you want to be part of it and involved in. And as I said, it is completely random. 2, I chose 2 this week. Hell, I'll probably choose 2 every week in the build-up to Christmas because why not? Eh? Why not? Not guaranteed. Depends how nice I'm feeling. But look, if you want to be involved in the chance of winning one of these every single week, I might even continue it into the new year. Just become a member on YouTube. Hit the join button on YouTube, or if you're watching on Facebook, hit the support now button. It's your way to support the growth of United People's TV because anything that comes in gets put back into the channel to make it bigger and better. And it's your way of coming a little bit closer to the middle of the community. You go into the private WhatsApp group. I read your comments out as a priority. It is what it is. I'd love to have you on board. But congratulations to Anthony and congratulations to Stephen. 2 more winners here on United People's TV. Spoiling people, I am. Spoiling. Anyway, let's move on. What was the next topic? Oh, I want to talk about this. I thought this was good. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear this completely, but let's go. I wanted to show you this. I'm not going to go full screen because I might get shut down for copyright. You know what I mean? So this is Scott McTominay. Let me move my microphone closer to over here. Ooh. Might hear it more. This is Scott McTominay talking about Ralf Rangnick. And I found this quite interesting. Let me go a little bit more on the screen there and see if you can hear it. Let's go down here.
More steel to him behind closed doors. What's he been like with you guys?
Yeah, 100% more steel behind closed doors. Very firm, very driven, knows what he wants in meetings. Is very, very clear. Obviously, that's the way it is in football. Like, to get your point across, you have to be clear and you have to be forceful. And obviously, if players aren't doing what you're asking, then obviously he's not shy to tell them as well. So yeah, first early impressions are very, very good, and obviously we've had a good result against Crystal Palace, and hopefully now we can move forward with that. And
basically, what he's saying there, in case you didn't hear that, so I apologise if you didn't hear that. Oh, look, that's a cracking comment. I'm going to read that one out. Dragon B-Tech Mark in the house. Well, if I'm a B-Tech Mark, really? Oh, dearie me. Oh, dearie me. That's good fun. I enjoyed that one. Scott McTominay, they're speaking about Ralf Rangnick's personality behind the scenes. It's basically explained, said, look, he might be a bit of a friendly, educated, informative man in front of the cameras, but behind the scenes, he's extremely driven. He's a man who knows his system. He's a man who knows his system inside out. And I'll tell you what, even if the players don't really like the training too much, they must just find it refreshing that they have someone in charge who really has a clear plan in front of them. Whether or not they like that plan and whether or not they like those methods, that's something a little bit different. But I like that. Of course I do. You know how much I admire Rangnick, and I have admired Rangnick from when I did my research into whether or not he could be the right manager for Manchester United and whether or not he would suit the squad and basically take us forward. I saw so many positives, and I've seen all those positives in abundance in his first couple of weeks as manager. In that first game against Crystal Palace, it still kind of blows my mind that was like after one training session. That sort of intensity in the first 45 minutes. And it also goes to show it's a bit of a nod. It's what I'm talking about, my big C word, that's continuity. The players wouldn't have been able to do that if there wasn't sort of elements of that system already installed in them. And that's what I mean. I think he took any foundations that Solskjaer had and took them upwards. I think that's what he did. But look, it's Norwich, right? It's Norwich tomorrow. What's your expectations about tomorrow, eh? How do you think that United will get on? What's your starting 11? You let me know in the comments, and I'll go down here and I'll try and read a few of your comments out. But before I do, I thought this was a nice little piece. Look, you saw my video this week. I don't think anyone else has really been speaking about it. They should be, because they're new coaches who've come into Manchester United, so you can't ignore that news. But Chris Armas has come in as a new assistant coach, and Sasha Lense has come in as a sports psychologist. And so many people don't really know, like, Sam, who the hell is Chris Armas? So I did my video sort of giving you a lot of insight into who he is. But there was an article that came out in The Athletic after that video that I wanted to run through that I thought was quite an interesting one. I'll tell you what, you're all feeling a bit chipper. Take off. You're going 7-0, 5-0, 4-0, 3-0, 5-0. Another clean sheet. 5-0, 4-1, 4-1. You are feeling absolutely chipper. I'll tell you what, I don't think it's going to be anything like a 4-1 game. I don't think it's going to be a game that we particularly enjoy on Saturday, but I'm going to save my prediction for Saturday night. But look, speaking about Chris Armas, this article from The Athletic, as I said, gives you a bit of insight into exactly who Chris Armas is and why he was brought to Manchester United. A winner with infectious positivity who can organise a midfield. Why Manchester United hired Chris Armas. And there's just a couple of pull-out quotes I want to speak about here. First and foremost, I found that quite interesting. So he was a feared defensive midfielder. If we're looking at what we need organisation with, for sure, it's inside the control of our midfield. We saw that against Crystal Palace. We need to see more of it. Maybe Chris Armas is going to be the man who brings that in. Let's scroll down and read a bit more here. Those who have worked with Armas say he is a, quote, fucking competitor. A winner with an infectious positivity about him who shares many of Rangnick's tactical philosophies, but can relate to and engage with any type of person and any type of player. Yes, please. Yes, please. We all have to remember, as what I said in the video that I did earlier this week, Chris Armas has come in as a coach, not a manager. You can talk about his failures with Toronto being sacked after 6 months and any failures that he had at New York Red Bulls when he was there for a couple of years, but they are slightly irrelevant. Slightly irrelevant in the context of him just being a coach. He just has to be able to express the system that Rangnick wants on the team. And by the sounds of it, it's going to be a lot of similarities here. If we scroll down, there's a couple more bits here. Availability undoubtedly played a role. I said this to you all along. I said there's absolutely no way that Sasha Lindsay, maybe Sasha Lindsay would have been his first choice. Maybe, because he's worked with him before. And maybe, no, Chris Armas wouldn't have been his first choice. I think probably Lars Kornetka would have been the first choice to come with him from Lokomotiv Moscow, somebody he was working with right now, somebody to come with him. I think he would have suited that. I think that would really have suited Rangnick, but it didn't work out. And as I said, availability definitely played a role down here. But if we scroll down here and we see this, I thought this was quite interesting as well. If we were talking about what is his tactical philosophy, there was some stats that came out from Smarter Scout. In Chris Armas's only full season as a head coach in the MLS, the New York Red Bulls had the fastest ball recoveries in the league, with the highest press, and played the most direct attacking style. He may have boosted their attacking output by as much as 0.25 expected goals per game. Fair play. So Chris Armas has had an improvement. Of course, this is coming from the MLS. So, Sam, take it with a pinch of salt. And I'm not getting excited that we've signed one of the most elite young coaches in the world who's going to transform Manchester United and take us forward. I just want somebody who can be a proper general, somebody who can really put across the as I said, the system and the ideas that Rangnick wants to instill into these players. And it strikes me that Chris Armas can be a good man for that. What's his stats as a player, says Ian. I'm not sure what his stats are as a player, but I'll be honest, Ian, I don't really think they sort of apply to whether or not he's going to be good for a Manchester United coaching position. Would he cut it in the Premier League? He's never been top tier football, says Graham. Hey, look, the big thing about coaches, and this is something I always maintain the entire way through, about Kieran McKenna, about Michael Carrick, not so much Mike Phelan. I said, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We're not privy to training grounds. We can make assumptions based on what we're seeing on the pitch, and we can say, look, I can see from the pitch that what's going on in training isn't working, because there's no point. Training obviously isn't working if you're not going to get a product at the end of it. So that's what we're going to be judging Chris Armas on. We're going to be judging him on Manchester United's control in midfield, Manchester United's maybe aggression in midfield. I don't know. I don't know specifically what he's going to be in control of. And until those stories come out, we don't actually know that. But look, yeah, I mean, Gungshi's got that one spot on. As long as he doesn't say soccer. And Tillicum, is he better than Ted Lasso? I don't think anyone's better than Ted Lasso. But look, I'm fine with Chris Armas coming in. I'm fine with Sasha Lindsay coming in. Are they his first choices? No. Could we do better? Probably. But not on a 6-month role. We've made our bed by bringing Rangnick in on a 6-month role with a consultancy on top of that. It's the only reason we got him in. We won't be able to offer any member of staff that. So let's not be surprised that we haven't been able to go out and get the best, right? That is a product of the circumstances of Manchester United right now. But look, I'm going to wrap it up now because I'm going to make it a bit of a short one. I'm going to get my predicted 11 for the Norwich game done as soon as possible, hopefully out for you for your lunchtime viewing. Again, don't say I don't treat you well. But look, happy Friday, everyone. I want to say thank you very much for all your comments this morning. Thank you very much for engaging with the video. Thank you very much for getting involved. I really do enjoy it every single day. 9:30, I am here, and I will be here on Monday. I'll be here today with my predicted 11 for the Norwich game. Will I go live tomorrow? If some big news happens in the morning, I'll go live. But if not, I'll just wait for the arms before the Norwich game tomorrow, and then I'll have my match reaction. But a 5:30 kickoff on a Saturday, that's horrible, isn't it? Absolutely horrible. But look, thank you very much, everybody, for joining in this morning. I hope you have a cracking Friday. Congratulations to Anthony Farrow. Let me pull these two up again, just in case, guys, you weren't watching and you don't know that you've won. Congratulations to Anthony Farrow on YouTube and also Stephen Matthews on Facebook. You are the two winners this week of the Ronaldo shirts. Make sure you get in contact with me. Have a cracking Friday, everybody. Have a decent weekend. I'll be here tomorrow. And then we're going to get to see United win, what, 7-0? Probably 7-0. 7-0, maybe 10-0. I'm not sure. 11.